Back to reaction. Let us come straight to it and not circle around with phrases. Faith, your faith, is shown by your reaction, not by your words, not by your affirmations, not by how beautifully you quote Scripture, but by whether you react when an appearance shouts at you. If you do not react, you are already under the government of one presence. Do you see that? If you do not take the bait, if you do not let fear shoot its adrenaline through your system, the case is finished at its root because you have refused it a second power. Take no thought for your life, said the Master, and that is not a suggestion to be careless. It is a directive to refuse reaction to appearances and to rest in that which precedes thought. Now, I am going to say something that may shock you, but it will free you if you let it. There are not two powers. Stop blessing one and fighting the other. Stop pleading with God to help you conquer evil, and stop flattering evil by calling it powerful enough to require God to do battle. God is not power. You see, the moment you make God a power, you have created an adversary for God to overcome, and now you are in two-ness, and fear must arise because you have a contest to manage. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. You cannot have one presence and another something. You cannot have spirit and then a little fear on the side. If you are still seeking a greater power to overcome a lesser power, you have missed the one. Do not turn to God to overcome anything. Be still and know that I am God. Not power, not a mental force, not a mystical electricity. Nobody knows what God is, and that is our freedom. Because what God is cannot be opposed, cannot be measured, cannot be patterned after our fears or our hopes. Resist not evil, the Master said. That is not passivity. That is the refusal to ascribe power where there is none. So I make you a promise, and I ask you to test it, not to believe it. End fear by ending two powers. In 3 minutes you can prove the first taste of this. No affirmations, no mental struggle, no reaching up for help or pushing away a problem. 3 minutes of not reacting, and you will see fear dissolve because its only food is your belief in a second power. We are not going to change an appearance at all right? This is the scandal to the human mind because it lives by manipulation. It wants to edit the picture. It wants the headlines to favor us. It wants the body to obey our decrees. No, peace be still is not shouted at a storm out there. It is whispered to the inner panic that believes the storm has a law. Once the panic is stilled, you will find that what needed to be done is done, and what needed to wither, withers without your managing it. What do I mean by one presence? Not a theology to hold like a sword, a fact to rest in like a shore that is already there beneath the wave. One presence is the life that is being itself where you stand. It is not another presence to be brought in to clean the room. It is the room. Appearances call them disease, lack, conflict, weather. Politics are temptations to react. They are not realities to battle. The devil has only one trick: bow down and react. And the Christ within has one answer: get thee behind me, which is to say, I will not enter the case humanly. I will not advise. I will not judge. I will not hate. I will not love an appearance into righteousness. I will rest in the one. And from that rest, the right word, the right silence, or the right action will come of itself. The middle path is our road. Neither fear, love, nor hate any appearance. You see the balance? If you hate it, you give it power. If you love it, you give it power. If you fear it, you give it power. When your eye is single, hear this: if thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. Single means not two. Not a double vision of God and problem, spirit and matter, heaven and hell tugging at you. It is a single beholding in which you do not split your attention between the holy and the headline. All right. We will walk this next half hour together on that middle path. Do not let your mind run ahead making bargains. Do not say, if I do this, will the lump go? Or will the bill be paid? That is still two powers negotiating a truce. Our way is consecration to one presence as fact, not wish. You may say, but the fear is real in my body. Yes, as sensation it is loud, as power it is nothing. Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid. Who is the I? Not your personality and not mine. The I that says I am before Abraham was. That I does not come to win. That I simply is. And in the isness of that I, fear cannot breathe because there is nothing to oppose. Right here, this moment, you can withdraw your consent. That is what faith is. Faith is the quiet refusal to accept two-ness. Faith is shown by your reaction. Don't argue with me or with yourself. Test it. When the appearance rises, stand still inside. No words, if you can help it. No formula. If you must say something, say, Father, into thy hands, and then drop even that and let the hands be what they are. Now, this is not stoicism. This is not gritting the teeth. This is spiritual realism. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Shadow is not substance. The valley may have sharp stones, yes, but the shadow has no law to wound you unless you react to it as if it had life. And if there is something to do, something practical and plain, you will do it more cleanly from non-reaction than from panic. But first we end two powers in us. First we take our stand in one presence. Then we move, or we do not move, as we are moved. So I say again, and let it ring where the fear tries to live, never desire to change appearances. Never enter the case humanly. Refuse sides. Refuse even the side that looks like your benefit. Your allegiance is to principle, and principle is one. In a few minutes we will prove it in silence. 3 minutes, a single I, no effort. Until then, let the thought be simple. There is not another power anywhere, and therefore I need not react to anything at any time. That is the foundation. From here, fear finds no foothold. Now, let us look it straight in the face, without blinking and without dramatics. Fear is not your private devil, not your special curse, not your failing. Fear is a universal belief, impersonal, lawless, wafting through the race mind like a fog, pressing for your consent, seeking only a reaction by which to fasten itself. Do you see that? If you attribute it to yourself, you will fight yourself. If you attribute it to a person or a condition, you will fight persons and conditions. And in either case, you will be living as if there were two powers. Be not afraid. It is I, said the Master. And do you notice he did not add a method of defense or a ritual of protection, only the presence affirmation that dissolves the need to react. Take the everyday forms in which this universal suggestion comes knocking. Contagion, drafts, market swings, family histories. One day it is a notice at the school about flu season, and the thought walks in uninvited. Be careful, it's going around. Another day there is a rustle of cold air and the old tale, you'll catch your death. Then a headline shouts, market slides on, fears of, and you can finish the sentence with any noun you like, because it is not the noun that matters, it is the universal belief demanding homage. Or it is a family tree chart with a dark branch labeled heart trouble, and the suggestion says, you see, this runs in your people. None of these are persons, they are patterns, and a pattern has no law of God to support it. If there were a law sustaining contagion or lack or inherited doom, the Christ would have had to submit to it, and yet we hear, no plague shall come nigh thy dwelling, and thou shalt tread upon the lion and adder. We are not dealing with laws. We are dealing with suggestions, and suggestions are clouds without water. Therefore, Never enter the case humanly. Never permit yourself to give human advice. Don't tell someone to buy or sell, to wear a heavier coat or a lighter one, to choose one hospital over another or one bank over another. You are not here to take sides with a belief, even the belief of safety against danger. You are not here to try to make one side win, not even the side that hires you. Christ is not the champion of a team. Christ is the only identity. The moment you try to coach appearances, you have confessed them to be realities, and you have made of your prayer a superstition, whistling in the dark to keep spirits away. Resist not evil, said Jesus. That is not passivity. That is the refusal to dignify a suggestion with the status of a power. Right now, we can meet the so-called problem without a single word, except perhaps to ourselves. I nullify any seeming effect of universal belief by granting it no reality in God. And even that is but a pointer, because it is not the words that do the work. It is the non-consent, the quiet seeing that one presence leaves nothing outside itself to oppose, infect, alarm, or deprive. You can no more fight a hypnotic suggestion than you can wrestle with a dream. You simply wake. Awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give thee light. You see, the awakening is not a victory over an enemy, it is the end of an illusion. Let the measure be clear and simple so you cannot mistake it. Your non-reaction is your freedom. If the news stirs you, that is not a call to battle, it is a call to silence. If a diagnosis trembles the knees, that tremble is not a verdict. It is the bell summoning you to the sanctuary within. If a loved one's behavior seems like a personal assault, do not believe your eyes. Do not believe your sympathies. Neither fear, love, nor hate the appearance. When you neither fear it, love it, nor hate it, it loses the hook by which it drags you into the arena. I had a letter from a mother in Chicago. Now listen closely, because this is your letter too, who said, the school posted a red notice, absences up due to influenza. My boy came home flushed. The old panic rose. What if she had learned enough to do nothing humanly? No thermometer war, no peppermint oil crusade, no posting on social media for reassuring statistics. She sat, and while she sat, she did not try to improve a condition. She refused audience to the universal belief that contagion has law. In the morning, the fever had passed, but more important than that, the mother wrote, something in me lost its grip on being a manager of outcomes. You see the difference? Healing occurred not because we out-argued a germ, but because we would not take sides with a suggestion. Another wrote about the market's portfolio down, blood pressure up. He wanted advice, buy or sell. I sent none. I am not hired to make your chart look clever. I am called to bear witness to one presence, and in that presence there is no bull and no bear. There is only the unfolding of sufficiency. He sat in silence, and in that non-reaction he found the clarity to make a small, simple adjustment, not out of fear, not out of bravado. The point is not the move. The point is the spirit that moved. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Do you think that line means freeze like a statue? No. It means refuse, the inward flurry, and let right action issue untangled. As to family histories, the first Adam writes large on our papers, this runs in your blood. But we do not live in Adam. We live, move, and have our being in God. The Master said, call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father, which is in heaven. That is not a religious slogan. It is a metaphysical severing of the claim that heredity has law over you. Again, we do not fight heredity. We outgrow hypnosis. We do not stamp on drafts or banish cold air. We stop believing in powers apart from God. take no thought for your life is not recklessness. It is release from mental engineering, which only breeds more fear. So when fear presents itself, let it be to you what the serpent was to Moses, a rod thrown down that looks like danger until you take it up in the consciousness of one. Then it is a staff again. Perfect love casteth out fear, not because love arms itself against an adversary, but because love recognizes no adversary. All right. If you are stirred today, that stirring is holy to me. It is the sign that the old alliances with appearances are loosening. Don't enter the case humanly. Don't give advice. Don't try to make a side win. Withdraw your consent from the world's hypnosis. And in that refusal to react, you are already in the ark, dry, while the waters beat upon the earth. Now let us set our feet on the middle path, the road so narrow you cannot carry a sword on it, and so wide that no one is excluded, neither fear, love, nor hate any appearance. Do you hear that? Not even love. Because to love an appearance is to give it a life of its own, to court it, to nurse it, to try to perpetuate it. Not even hate. Because to hate is to acknowledge a second power we must conquer. Not even fear. Because fear is merely the confession that we have enthroned that second power in our own bosom. The middle path is this. We do not take sides with good against evil. We do not court, condemn, or correct appearances. We do not bless or curse the picture on the screen. We behold with a single eye and allow principle to bear witness to itself as form, if form must appear. Faith, then, is not a mood you try to work up. Faith is the capacity to behold without flinching. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment is not your human preference dressed in Scripture. It is the quiet awareness of one presence, regardless of the pictures that roll past your senses. In a theater, you do not crawl up the aisle to fix a villain's face on the screen. You do not pray the projector to run backwards. You do not argue with the beam of light. You sit still. You remember that the drama has no substance in itself, that the screen is never touched by the knife fights or the love scenes. When your eye is single to the screen, you do not bless or curse the picture, you behold. All right, bring that home. Non-reaction to any appearance is both the method and the measure of living under one presence. If you will not react, you are already safe. You already stand where thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Let us take it into the hot rooms where human loyalties scream labor and capital. You know how easy it is to have your sympathies enlisted by stories of hunger on one side or of enterprise on the other, and the human heart wants to rush in with advice and with slogans. Never enter the case humanly. You are not dealing with a good side and a bad side. Do not even stand with the side that hires you. Stand with principle. Stand in the silence that refuses two powers and admits only one. Presence operating as infinite intelligence, infinite love, infinite order. I have been in those rooms, Los Angeles, San Francisco, yes, and felt the heat that wants to drive a decision in 15 minutes. And do you know the overcoming came? When there was no reaction to the personalities involved, no taking of sides, only arresting in the one until spiritual activity dissolved the tension and a right form unknown to any of us 5 minutes earlier presented itself. We did not make winners and losers. We bore witness that Christ is the only identity. When that is your standpoint, the outer terms can shuffle themselves without your strain, and if someone imagines they lost, let them do so. It is not your office to nurse resentments. It is your office to remain faithful to the one. Bring it into the house where spouse contends with spouse. One says, I am right by law, and the other says, I am right by love, and the children tremble at the door. Never take sides, not even the side that tells a better story. Do not try to fix either personality. Do not try to improve the marriage as a project. Principle first. If spiritual harmony can only be achieved by a separation, all right, let's have it. If harmony blossoms into a deeper unity, all right, let's have it. Your interest is not in preserving or breaking a human arrangement. Your interest is in bringing forth a spiritual activity that reveals that Christ is the only identity in that home. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder, is not a law to chain two frightened egos. It is a revelation that unity exists in spirit, and when you stand in that unity without reaction to the emotional storm, what is true is made evident in ways that human cleverness cannot script. Carry it to the sick room where symptom battles remedy and the hours are measured in pills. Do not hate the disease and do not love the remedy. Do not make a god of a treatment and do not make a devil of a diagnosis. Do not react. Sit quietly, if only for those 3 minutes we will soon practice, and let your consciousness be single to the one that is before disease and before health, before birth and before death. Be still and know that I am God. Not power, remember this. God is not a power to be applied to a germ or to a cell. God is the isness in which no opposing law exists. From that non-reaction, it may be that a treatment is used wisely and without fear. It may be that a certain action is plainly not to be taken, but now you are moved by spiritual clarity, not driven by panic. I, God, am the solution to all problems. Not I, the person with a collection of truths. I, God, as felt in your stillness. So let us stack the imperatives until they sound in you like a bell. Don't react to the appearances. Don't desire to change appearances. Don't enter the case humanly. Don't argue truth at people. Don't try to recruit them to your point of view. Don't try to correct the picture. Do be still. Do rest in the one. Do let spiritual activity announce itself and tell you whether to speak or to keep silence, whether to walk or to sit down. Resist not evil. That is the middle path. Not apathy, not cowardice, not indifference, refusal to attribute a law to that which has none, refusal to feed the universal belief with your adrenaline and your words. And now about the body. When the nervous system quiets, and it will, sometimes in a sweet wave that feels like being washed in warm light, receive it. Give thanks without words. But do not idolize it. Do not say, this is my proof, this is my God. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. The peace of God is not a sensation to be hoarded. It is the absence of reaction to two-ness. If tomorrow the feeling is not there, do not mourn as if you had lost God. You have lost nothing. The middle path is your fidelity to principle, whether the body thrills or not. Our allegiance is not to a mood. Our allegiance is to the one presence. The feeling may come and go. The one does not flicker. So, you see, this is our consecration, neither fear, love, nor hate, any appearance. Non-reaction is our confession of faith and our practice of faith. It is the measuring rod and it is the method. If you can look at the headline without flinching, at the face across the table without taking sides, at the symptom without bargaining, you are already on holy ground. And from holy ground your shoes will be guided where they must go, your tongue will be governed if it must speak, and your hand will be steadied if it must act. If thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. Keep it single, keep it simple, neither for nor against the picture, only for principle. In a few moments we will prove it in silence. For now let the word form itself quietly within you. One presence, one presence, one presence, and no reaction to anything that pretends otherwise. Now we must prepare the instrument, and this is where nearly all of us are tempted to do the very thing that blocks the way. Nobody, by taking thought, can contact God. Do you hear that? Nobody. Not the scholar with 1,000 verses, not the metaphysician with the finest affirmations, not the frightened heart rummaging for the cleverest prayer. Be still and know that I am God. Knowing is not thinking. It is not arranging words into a ladder to climb into heaven. Let us be bold enough to forget all the truth we ever knew for these few minutes. Let us lay it down. This kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting. Prayer, not words, but receptivity. Fasting, not from food, but from mental food, from the appetite to fix, to improve, to be spiritual, to be right. If you are willing for that, the way opens sometimes for only a split second, and in that split second of silence, God contact is made and the case is already finished, whether or not the picture is caught up. So what is this fasting? It is sacred abstinence from our favorite crutches. No affirmations, no denials, no quotations trotted out like soldiers, no outlining to God, no inner bargaining, no posture of being holier than the person across the street. Abstain from trying. Do you see? The human mind grows fat on its own techniques. It chews on truth statements as if they were rations in a siege. Fast that mind. Let it be hungry and quiet. When ye pray, the Master said, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret. Shut the door on words. Shut the door on concepts. Shut the door even on your wish to do this well. And then, in the secret, do not speak at all. Wait. In thy silence I shall come to you, not necessarily in a thunderclap. Sometimes in nothing at all except that you have not reacted. That nothing is everything. We will help the body be a willing instrument. Sit upright. Not stiff like a soldier on parade, but simple and dignified as if you belong to heaven and earth at once. Let your feet touch the floor if you are in a chair, grounded, ordinary. Place your hands open, not clenched, resting where they are comfortable, palms turned up if you like, a gesture of no grasping. Let the eyes be at rest. If they close, let them close without squeezing. If they remain slightly open, let them soften in a single eye, a calm gaze that does not dart, that does not search, that behold. We are not looking for a point. We are consenting to be the point through which awareness witnesses. Let the breath be unforced. Do not breathe spirituality. Do not count. Let the breath come and go as the tide does without your meddling. Choose 3 quiet minutes. Not 10, not an hour, 3. Undisturbed. Turn the bell off. Put the paper face down. If the phone must exist, let it exist in another room. This is your closet. This is your fast. Now, intent, let us be so clean here that we do not smuggle a request into the silence. Let there be no application for a changed picture. We are not going to ask God to heal, fix, supply, defend, or adjust. Don't turn to God for anything. Let that shock you into honesty. God is not a power to be applied to a condition. Nobody knows what God is, and for that reason we cannot use God as a tool. We consent quietly, wordlessly to one presence, revealing itself as it will, when it will, if it will, in any felt way at all. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Not my will, not my schedule, not my preferred sensation. If a word must be formed before we enter silence, let it be this: Father, here am I. And then let even that go, for the Father knows what things ye have need of before ye ask. Our part is to be present to presence. Outcome, leave it alone. Do not look at your demonstration day by day as if you had planted a seed and must scrape the soil to see if it is sprouting. Let maturity bring to light first the blade, then the ear, after that the full corn in the ear. If there is a wave of relief, take it as a gentle courtesy and go on. If there is no wave, take that as a gentle courtesy and go on. If a thought arises, how will I know it worked? That very thought tells you that you are auditing progress. Smile and return to fasting. We touch the center and we leave it. We do not camp there with stopwatch and stethoscope. The rhythm of spirit governs fruit, not our anxiety. Let patience have her perfect work, James said. All right, let her have it. We are not technicians tweaking results. We are witnesses withdrawing reaction from the dream. You may ask, but if I do not speak truth, won't I forget truth? No. Truth is not a set of sentences. Truth is a presence that uses sentences when it must and silence when it can. It is the Spirit that quickeneth. The flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit, said the Master. Notice, he did not say the syllables are spirit. He said the words he speaks are spirit, that is, the living utterance arising from God contact. Without that contact, words are shells. With it, a single whisper or a single glance heals and frees. So for 3 minutes, we take our hands off the shells and offer the ear of the heart. If during those minutes your mind throws a scripture at you, bow to it and let it pass. If it throws a fear at you, do not fight. Let it pass. If it throws a noble affirmation at you, let even nobility pass. Fasting is fasting. Understand that we are not trying to become spiritual. That is still self-improvement under two powers. We are not upgrading a human mind. We are consenting to a fact already present, one presence. We do not make it arrive. We stop pretending it is absent. Lo, I am with you always. Do you see? Our setup is simple because reality is simple. Sit, open, soften, say nothing, ask for nothing, refuse to check. And then, when the 3 minutes have been spent, rise and go about your affairs without comment, without analysis, without phoning a friend to report whether it felt holy. The branch does not measure the sap. It bears fruit in due season because the vine lives. I am the vine, ye are the branches. All right. We will touch the vine and leave it to be the vine. Give me these next minutes unadorned, and I give you this assurance. Relief does not rise from mental effort or verbal truth. Relief rises as the system of reaction is dismissed in the hush of God contact. The hush may be felt or unfelt. It does not matter. Our business is the fast. Our joy is the consent. Our safety is that we have taken no sides, sought no victories, and asked for no special sign. Prepare the instrument and set it down on the altar. In a moment, we will be still together. Then we will leave the altar as simply as we came and let God have its perfect work. All right, let us prove it now, not tomorrow and not in theory. 3 minutes. No heroics, no strain. We are not going to pull God down out of heaven, and we are not going to push a problem out of sight. We are going to behold with a single eye and let one presence announce itself where we are. Be still and know that I am God, not a power, not a force to be wielded, just I am. First, settle. Let the chair receive you. Let it carry your weight without your help. Feel the simple fact that the earth through this chair supports you without bargaining. Hands easy. Ya slack. Whatever light comes through the eyelids is fine. If the eyes want to close, fine. Now do not take a breath. Allow the breath to breathe you. You see the difference? We are not managing respiration. We are consenting to life already happening. Inwardly, once, not twice. Whisper, here I am. Just that. Not here I am, Lord, fix me. Here I am. Then be still. No counting. No phrasing. No attempt to reach. In returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Let the body sit in that quietness. If a muscle twitches, let it twitch. If the mind wants to tell a story, let it start and fizzle. You do nothing. Now, as you rest, here is our cue for non-reaction. Whatever floats by, an itch on the ankle, a thought of the market, a sound from the street, a face from yesterday, a news image baked with headlines, neither fear, love, nor hate it. Do not push it out. Do not pull it in. Do not dress it up. Don't change the picture. Let the reel run. The screen is safe. You are not the actor in this minute. You are the witness, and the witness does not enter the fight scenes. If a worry taps your shoulder and says, "This is important," smile at it without teeth and let it speak to the empty air. You owe it no answer. Each non-reaction is your confession of one presence without words. Resist not evil. Yes, even now. Not apathy, holy refusal to attribute a law to that which has none. Soften the inner gaze. Let it be single, not two, no God and problem, no spirit and matter, no I and thou in the human sense, just a gentle awareness that is before the picture. If a phrase must rise, allow this once. I, God, am the life here. Not you, not me, not a doctrine. I, God, am the life here. Then let even that sink as a pebble sinks, leaving only rings on the surface that soon are gone. Do not repeat. There is a time for truth spoken and a time for truth held without syllables. This is that time. If thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. That does not mean a flash in the nerves. It means a stillness in which two-ness cannot get a foothold. Gently let the light that is not seen but is known bathe the mind's edges. No effort. Now we listen. Nobody knows what God is. Don't try. The unknowing is our open door. Therefore, listen without words. No petitions, no bargains. Wait for the click. This is not a firecracker. It is a split second of release, the inward sense that the reins have dropped from your fists, that the burden which never existed has ceased to pretend. If the click comes, it may be as subtle as the shiver when a latch finds its home. If it does not appear, do not reach for it. The click is grace. The listening is our offering. My sheep hear my voice, said the Master, but the sheep do not bleat out a program. They rest and the knowing finds them. Just this, alert, uninterfering, hospitable to the unknown, that is the only real. If a phrase rises of itself now, let it be simple. Be not afraid, it is I. Do not chew it. Hear it as presence speaking presence, not as a charm against weather. Let it land where words cannot land. Or perhaps nothing rises, only a broad, amiable, quiet good. That quiet is not a mood. It is the absence of sides. Stay only as long as a breath stays. We are not clocking a performance. If a thought intrudes, what about the bill? What about the report? Lay it unwrapped on the altar of silence, and do not look to see if it is accepted. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Seeing here does not mean peeking at results. It means beholding without managing. Notice now, if you can do it without reaching, that fear presents itself as a suggestion in this space, not as a sovereign. A twinge in the gut says, react to me. A memory says, fix me. You smile not sentimentally, but with recognition, and you do not move. In this unmoved beholding, the suggestion thins. It does not die heroically. It runs out of your consent, and that is all it ever had right here. One presence is felt not as density, not as a thrill you can photograph, but as the fact behind the breath, the ease behind the posture, the wide room in which thoughts float like motes and cannot stick. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. The witness is not next to you. It is the very eye that beholds. Now we close without closing. Do not check the body. Do not peek under the lid to see if anything changed. Do not bargain. If I felt this, then I want that. No, we do not ask for signs. We do not grade God. A simple thank you is enough, not shouted, not dramatized, perhaps not even worded. Thank you, and let the attention lift unhurried to the room. Hear a sound without naming it. Feel the chair again. Open the eyes if they were closed, not like a diver gasping at the surface, but like a shore turning to morning. No rush, no vow to keep this going, no fear that it will go. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Let it be so. Before you move, seal this. We did not use God to change a picture. We did not love or hate or fear the images. We beheld, and in beholding we tasted that one presence is the only fact. If a sweetness lingers in the nerves, receive it and do not label it your proof. If nothing lingers, rejoice that nothing is required. The measure of this work is not a sensation. It is the capacity to go out from here and face the next picture without reaction, to neither fear, love, nor hate it, and to return for 3 minutes at a time to the single eye. That is all. That is enough. Now, whatever is to be done will be given you to do or not do. Let Christ's will be done on earth as it is in heaven, not by might nor by power, but by spirit, felt in silence, revealed in non-reaction, shining through a life that has no side. Now, when the shoulders let go as if they have remembered something ancient, when the breath widens of itself and the tight band around the head loosens, do not pounce on that as your prize. Receive it. Yes, let the body have its Sabbath. Let the nerves drink without your hand on the cup. But know what you are receiving. Not a goal attained, not a medal of spirituality. Only the evidence that for a moment you ceased to react and the universal belief lost your consent. The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof. So is every one that is born of the Spirit. You did not manufacture the breeze. You felt a moving that came because there was no resistance in you, no second power enthroned to be wrestled with. All right, give thanks quietly, and do not chase the wind with a net. Here are your guardrails, and let them be firm enough to save you from the ditch. Don't measure your progress day by day. Don't wake tomorrow and put your fingers on the pulse of peace as if to prove it's still beating. The kingdom of God cometh not with observation. Don't make a ritual out of reproducing a feeling. If you sit down to the 3 minutes with yesterday's sweetness in mind, you have already chosen a side, your side against the silence, and you will find yourself working, not resting. Let God have its perfect work. Let patience have her perfect work. Do you see that the moment you outline, the moment you reach for a temperature to recapture, you are back in two powers, God on one side, a fickle nervous system on the other, and you have turned the holy into technique. Refuse it. Sit, be still, let it be given or withheld as it pleases. Sabbath was made for man, not man for a ritual of moods. The silence is not a slot machine. We are not pulling the lever to strike bliss. We are consenting to one presence, without a lever, without a slot, without a plan. I will give you a few cases, not to make a scrapbook of marvels, but to show you the simplicity of this. In Minneapolis, a young woman wrote, after a session just like ours, for months she had been in a house where every mealtime burst into heat, opinions like knives, and she, trembling, referee. After 1 3-minute silence, she went out and did the unheard of. She neither defended nor corrected a story that had been her battleground. She ate her meal as one eats on green pastures. No sermon, no effort, 2 evenings later, a brother who had been the loudest found himself speaking softly and then not speaking at all. And then, with no audience to fight, the heat dropped. She didn't win. She stopped believing two powers in that dining room. Harmony appeared not because she solved anything, but because she refused the bait. In Los Angeles, a businessman sat with the clock because he had only 3 minutes before a negotiation that had him certain he would be devoured. He told me later, "I did as you said, nothing. I let the mind race, and I didn't go with it." He walked into the room and discovered that his mouth had no interest in old speeches. He listened. He asked one question that he did not plan and heard an answer none of them had considered. Papers were signed, not with victory, but with clarity. He did not outsmart anyone. He stood in a room where only one functions, you see, and the personalities arranged themselves like furniture in a house that had just been opened to air. In Maui, a mother with a feverish child phoned, desperate. I told her, "Don't ask God to cool a brow. Sit for 3 minutes. Say nothing. Trust nothing but silence." She did. When the call came back, she did not report a miracle. She reported that fear had ebbed from her joints and that she could carry the child lightly and wisely to the clinic without shaking. The treatment, ordinary, human, did its little job without panic chewing holes in it. She did not turn material into spiritual or deny the use of means. She took no sides. Peace was not a mood to hoard. It was the absence of a second law. That was the harmony. Now about aftershocks. If, this afternoon, a surge of fear springs back like a jack-in-the-box, do not write your spiritual obituary. Weather passes through the sky that never becomes the storm. Treat it as weather. Neither judge nor congratulate yourself. Do not say, "I had it and lost it," nor, "I am so advanced I can swat this fly." Return to the middle path. Sit, if only for 1 minute, in the market or in a hallway, and do again nothing, neither fear, love, nor hate the surge. Let it talk to the empty air. Be not afraid, only believe. Believe what? Not a proposition, believe the fact of one presence by refusing reaction. The just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again. He does not hold an inquest between falls. He rises, he returns, he refuses to assign power to the picture. And please, never take pride in relief. Never think, "I am becoming a better human." We are not improving a personality. We are not sanding down temperaments to make a nicer citizen. We are witnessing the activity of Christ as the only identity, your identity, my identity, the identity of the one who frightens you and the one who loves you. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. That is not poetry for the stained glass window. That is your daily anonymity. When ease comes, bow to Christ in the midst. When ease goes, bow to Christ in the midst. The bow is the same. If someone says, "You handled that brilliantly," you keep your counsel. If someone says, "You failed," you keep your counsel. Not even the side that flatters you is your side. Principle over personality. Christ is the only identity. So, welcome the nervous system ease as you would a guest. You do not detain at the door. Offer it a chair. Do not bolt the lock. Our fidelity is not to a feeling. Our fidelity is to principle, to one presence known in silence and expressed as non-reaction. The proof that you are on the way is not that you can summon a glow. It is that you can face the next picture without flinching, without counseling God, without arming yourself with a speech. Short periods of honest stillness, many times, and a steady refusal to take sides. That is how relief integrates into life, not by might, nor by power, but by spirit, moving as your untroubled beholding. And if you forget before supper, remember by dessert. If you forget by dessert, remember at dawn. You see, we are not working our way up to God. We are letting God have its perfect work, in a life that no longer consents to two. Now let us face the question that always rises after the hush. Why does this relief endure, and why, sometimes, does it not? Here is the paradox that offends our religious training and frees our heart. God is not power. As long as you hold God as a power to be used against another power, you have announced two powers and placed yourself in the arena. You will feel a momentary truce. Yes, because adrenaline tires. But the fight resumes, the fear returns, and you are back to measuring whether your God is stronger than your problem. That is not the way. When God is known, even for a split second, not as a power over, but as one presence, the only presence, there is no opponent available, and so there is nothing to oppose, nothing to subdue, nothing to defend. Do you see that? The relaxation we tasted has no enemy because it is not victory. It is the absence of war, you say. But the world is still out there with its noise. Yes, the world picture continues to parade, and it will, because the senses specialize in parades. But he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Dwelling is not a change of address. It is the silence we tasted, the wordlessness, where we do not set truth against error, but stand where truth is all. The secret place is not a mountain or a sanctuary sign. It is the inner non-reaction in which you are no longer conscripting God to do your bidding. Under that shadow, not darkness, but overshadowing, thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. Notice, it does not say there will be no night or arrow. It says you shall not be afraid. Why? Because you have ceased to confer a law upon the picture. Fear lives on your belief in a second law. When that belief is withdrawn, fear starves gently without drama. Safety, then, is not being made safe from danger. It is awakening to the absence of an opposing power. Be not afraid. It is I. The master does not shout across the storm, I am coming to beat the wind into submission for you. He says it is I identity as presence. The one here and the storm shrinks into a ripple in a consciousness that has no room for two. When you want God to win, you have already lost because you have already conceded an enemy withstanding. When you rest as I that I am, there is nothing for God to defeat. There is only God. This is why the relief lasts. It does not depend upon the next headline, the next lab result, the next text message. It depends upon nothing. It is not a balance secured by delicate counterweights. It is a floor, and it does not wobble. Hold the triad steady in you until it becomes a posture without effort, neither fear, love, nor hate any appearance. Fear feeds it. Hate justifies it. Love courts it. All three enthrone it as something. Let the lion and the lamb lie down in you by refusing to referee the zoo. Do not pack the lamb and scold the lion. Do not make a pet of your favorite pictures and an enemy of your least favorite. Lay down the whistle, sit in the middle, and behold. In that middle, the lion loses the bite that never belonged to it, and the lamb is not something to protect. Both are imagery on the screen within a light that the scene cannot alter. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment in this sense is not the mind picking winners. It is the heart refusing two-ness. You may object, but if God is not power, how do healings occur? All right, listen. Healing is not the triumph of a superior force. It is the ceasing of a false premise. Where two powers are believed, conflict must act itself out. Where one is realized, the acting out has no stage. Forms will rearrange themselves under that realization, bodies, bank books, and boardrooms, but do not mistake the rearrangement for the cause. The cause is one presence being itself, and it requires no battlefield. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. is not a boast that you have superior armor. It is a description of dwelling. What cannot come nigh thee? Two-ness. Therefore the contagion of fear cannot take hold, because it has no law to rest upon in your awareness. You are not made the exception to a rule. You are released from a rule that never was. Now, about results. Do not look at your demonstration day by day. Let maturity bring to light. The fruit tree does not push, sap is not persuaded, it abides. And in abiding there is a schedule beyond hurry. First the blade, then the ear. After that, the full corn in the ear. Our part is the abiding, returning for 3 quiet minutes, many times, to the secret place, refusing to make a project of it. If in a week the symptom lessens, do not salute yourself. If tomorrow the symptom flares, do not indict yourself. You see what I'm saying? We are not watching the thermometer like a gambler watches a wheel. We are not working the levers of a metaphysical machine. We are living as branches in the vine. Abide in me, and I in you. That is the ethic. The fruit is certain because the vine is certain. The timing is the vines, not the branches. Sometimes, after a silence like the one we shared, the phone rings with distress or the headlines flash and the body remembers how to tighten. All right? Notice it. Do not hate the tightening. Do not love the drama. Do not fear the story. Return to the middle, even for 30 seconds, and let the one announce itself. If no announcement is felt, still you have not reacted, and that non-reaction is itself the open gate to the secret place. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Seeing here is not evidence-taking. It is beholding without adding your human shove. Relief that rests on not shoving does not wear out, because it does not consume the fuel of will. This is the metaphysical clarification we must carry quietly into our rooms and streets. God is not power. God is. To the mind, that sounds like less. To the heart, it is all. It ends the question of whether there will be enough of God to meet the day, because the day is in God, and God does not meet God. When that settles even a little, you can breathe as one who is not on guard duty. You do not sleep with one eye open to keep evil at bay. You rest with a single eye that knows no bay and no foe. Then the relief you found does not depend upon silence, because silence has moved in. It is the climate of your going out and your coming in. He shall give his angels charge over thee, not as private guards marching down your sidewalk, but as inner lawfulness, the self-ordering of one presence without your supervision. So let the paradox stand and serve you. Refuse the narcotic of a God who wins. Consent to the reality that needs no victory. Keep the triad pure. Keep the schedule gentle, short periods, many times, and refuse to check. In that fidelity, fear cannot find your door, because it was your reaction that built it. And without a door, where shall it knock? We are finished with fighting shadows. We are home in the secret place. Let it be so. Now let us go where the air is thick and the voices are many, and let us not change our method 1 inch. Hot rooms and headlines do not ask for new truth. They ask for fidelity to principle under pressure. We do not enter the case humanly. We do not take sides. We do not manage outcomes. We behold, we consent to one presence, and then we let the next right step appear without the smoke of fear behind it, without the perfume of self-approval ahead of it. Here is a health scare. The body stings, or a report comes back with letters too large to be polite, and the mind, tutored by the world, grabs for a search bar and gathers 10,000 witnesses for panic. Stop. Don't react to the appearances. Before a finger calls anyone, give Spirit 3 honest minutes. Sit down, close the door, and let the first word be the last. Right now, I recognize no law behind this suggestion. Not denial of the body, not brave talk, nullification of a claim to law. This is a universal belief parading as personal fate. It has no law to support it. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Then stop talking and wait for the click. If a click comes, it may feel like a small untying in the chest. If it does not, do not tug. Rise and do the next ordinary, intelligent thing. Call the clinic, drink water, rest, receive care, without the human theater of terror. One woman in Portland wrote, I did exactly that 3 minutes, then urgent care. The nurse said my numbers looked better than my face did. I laughed. Fear had painted me, the numbers had not. Do you see? We are not making a show of courage. We are refusing to enthrone a second power. Treatment, if used, is used in peace. God is not power to be applied to a symptom. God is the I that dissolves two-ness, in which the symptom cannot argue for a law. Now the money call. A client, an employer, a partner rings with weather in his voice. Loss looms, accusation sparkles. The trap is set. Take the side of gain against loss. Start calculating prayers. Start bargaining with heaven. No, you take no side, not even the side that hires you. If the one who engaged you wants to lose, that is his business. Your business is integrity and service under one presence. Close your mouth long enough to shut the inner bargains and give 3 minutes. Right now I recognize no law of scarcity, no power in luck, no authority in panic. Then silence. Wait for the click. When you pick up again, you are there to listen, to ask the one question that is given you to render an honest account, to recommend what prudence dictates, not to rescue an image of yourself as clever, not to whip a market into obedience. In San Francisco, a broker told me, I did this before a recall meeting. I found myself saying, gentlemen, here is our exposure and here is our duty. We will do this, and if we lose clean. The heat went out. We took the modest loss without the ruin of fear. And if a door should open to unexpected provision, you give thanks and do not strut. If it does not, you give thanks and do not sulk. Principle, not outcome. Now the marriage standoff. Two faces, tender once, stand armored. Each would like you to declare which is righteous and which is the cause of all human woe. You refuse. You are not dealing with a good side and a bad side. You are witnessing Christ as the only identity present, even if Christ is pressed into a tight mask. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder. Do not take that horizontally. If spiritual harmony can only be achieved through separation, let's have it without rancor, without posters, without throwing knives of Scripture at one another. Go to silence. Right now, I recognize no law of possession, no authority in blame, no reality in a selfhood apart from God. Then stop talking and wait for the click. From that stillness may come an amends that is clean, or a plan for 2 houses without war, or a season of counseling, or 3 months of silence in the same house without strategy. A couple in Denver wrote, we sat in silence twice a day, together, no speeches. After 2 weeks we knew we would part kindly and keep our word about the children. No fire, no press release. Another pair in Boston wrote, we discovered we had never once met each other without a brief. After weeks of 3-minute fasts, an apology rose that neither of us authored. Warmth returned, not sentimentally, but as a room with air. All right, sometimes the wheat and tares grow together longer than we like. Let patience have her perfect work. Now the headlines. War bursts, markets lurch, storms scatter roofs, and a chorus tells you to choose a side or be damned. Refuse it. You are not a weather vane for universal belief. neither amplify nor deny. Ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. Enter your closet. Right now I recognize no law of contagion in thought, no sovereign in hatred, no absence of God anywhere on this earth. Then be still. This is not indifference. This is the only ground from which clean action can step. After the click or after the quiet without a click, do the next right human duty, calmly vote. Cook a pot of soup and carry it 3 doors down. Send a sum you will not miss and do not announce it. Write a letter unheeded by contempt. Learn the name of the neighbor whose flag offends you and greet him without theater. Pray for kings and all that are in authority, not as flattery, but as refusal to let mass belief cast the play without your consent. If you are sent to a march, go without hatred. If you are sent to your garden, weed without guilt. In either case, no sides. Keep this language at hand only as a key to the door, not as a speech to shout through the streets. Right now, I recognize no law behind this suggestion. Then, for God's sake and your own, stop talking and wait for the click. You are not hypnotizing the universe. You are withdrawing your consent from hypnosis, you see. From that quiet, the deed that is yours will come untainted. Sometimes a word, sometimes a silence, sometimes a signature, sometimes a cheerful no. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Not the salvation of your program, the salvation that appears when reaction dies of neglect. In every arena, fidelity is the same. No sides, 3 minutes, one presence, and then whatever is to be done will shine by itself, not by might nor by power, but by spirit moving where it listeth. Now, because we are honest and do not sell you a fairy tale, let us say what you will meet on Tuesday after a radiant Monday. The old fear or a new costume of the same belief may return and ask to be let in. Do not dramatize. Do not call the neighbors. Do not tell yourself the story called I Had It and Lost It. Weather revisits. Echoes ring in hollow places, and universal beliefs travel in circles looking for hosts. Treat it as you have been taught to treat every appearance. Neither fear, love, nor hate it. Only in these cases, the stubborn ones, the patterns with memorized doorways, you lengthen the fast. This kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting, not fasting from food, fasting from words, not prayer as speech, prayer as silence. You withdraw gently but definitively from all statements of truth, even the truest ones, until the inner click breaks the mesmerism. You see, when a suggestion has years of habit in you, it does not yield to more words, it yields to less you. What does lengthening the fast look like? It may be the 3 minutes become 10 or 20. It may be you sit in the dark at 2 in the morning because that is when the old visitor knocks, and you meet it with no argument and no treaty. Split the night if you must. Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. Watching here is not scanning the horizon for devils. It is refusing to let the mesmerism sweep you into reaction. In Boston, a man wrote that panic visited at 2:17 a.m. like a train on schedule. He had tried verses. He had tried music. At last he did the fast. No verse, no music, no bargaining. He sat and let the mind roll without a rider. 40 minutes, then 50. No click. He rose, made tea, returned to the chair for another half hour. Near dawn, a small silence took him in. No drama, no fireworks, only the taste of one. The next night, the train arrived late and left early. A week later, it missed the stop. He had not won a fight. He had starved a belief that had lived on his rehearsal. Do not make a project of quickness. Divine timing is not on a human clock. Saul of Tarsus did not spring from blindness into apostleship overnight. He withdrew from the scene and let what had happened to him ripen. Tradition remembers years 9 before he moved out in his strength. If the scholar wishes to argue the count, let him. The point is not arithmetic. The point is that roots must take before fruit shows. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. Wait is not idleness, it is refusal to push an outcome. Let patience have her perfect work. Do not look at your demonstration day by day. Do not pencil deadlines on heaven's calendar. Your schedule is to appear at your post short periods many times, and in the deeper cases to extend the watch until the click. Timing belongs to God, not to fear, and not to you. Now, note the impersonal tenacity of these returners. They come with history on their backs. My mother had it. My father feared it. It happened every winter. It has always been this way with me. That is the chorus of universal belief demanding a biography. You owe it none. Refuse to recite timelines of failure or success. Refuse to hang framed portraits of either on your wall. This has nothing to do with this person. This is a universal belief acting out a script. If you must say anything at all at the threshold, let it be quiet and brief. Right now, I nullify any seeming effect from a universal belief. Then, for God's sake, stop speaking. Quit explaining it to yourself. Explanations feed it. In Chicago, a bookkeeper found himself seized by dread every Thursday before payroll. He traced it to an old scandal. He wrote paragraphs to himself. He argued the math of safety. The dread laughed and came on time. He wrote to me. I told him, stop tracing. Fast from why? Sit on Wednesday night and through Thursday morning as needed in naked silence. No statements. He did. 2 long watches later, nothing. The third week at 5 a.m., the click came, no feeling, only the absence of theater. He made payroll like one drinks a glass of water. The pattern died not from counsel, but from neglect. Steadfastness is the virtue that carries you through this school. Continue short periods many times. Keep to the middle with or without visible change. Let God have its perfect work. In Santa Fe, an artist reported months without a sale and a belly clenched like a fist. She began the 3 minutes on the hour, 1 week, then 2. At night, she added a longer fast. No affirmations, no rebukes to the market, just stillness until something within her ceased, waiting for a verdict. She woke one dawn without compulsion to prove herself, and the hand moved across the canvas with a quiet, not interested in result. The work sold eventually, but the harmony had already come because the tyrant, the second power, had been discharged from the studio. You see what I am saying? Do not measure by the gallery check. Measure by the absence of reaction when the gallery forgets to call. There will be watches without clicks. All right? Do not promote discouragement to king. Non-reaction itself is the practice. The click is grace. Go on to the day's next right duty. Sweep the floor. Answer letters without mood. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. You will find that over weeks or months, a background climate changes. You are not braced against the next knock. You are no longer host to the visitor called alarm. And when a knock does come, you know your doorway has no hinges. Fear returns to an address that moved without van. You did not win. You are no longer playing. One word to students of Scripture. In these long fasts, you may be tempted to weaponize the Bible verse against symptom, promise against picture. Do not. The Master himself faced appetite, spectacle, and power in the wilderness with a simplicity beyond our quoting. He would not perform for either side. He did not argue the devil into a corner. He refused the stage. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Proceedeth present, living, not printed slogans swung like clubs. In the deep cases, forget all the truth you ever knew until the living word rises of itself as the click. Then, if a verse appears, it will not be your tool. It will be God's speech in your midst. So when fear returns, do not call it betrayal, call it practice. Return to your chair or to the car seat before walking into the building or to the edge of your bed at 3 a.m. and fast. Fast from trying, fast from fixing, fast from timelines. Sit, neither fearing, loving, nor hating the picture, and let the one be all. If the click comes, bow and go on. If it tarries, bow and go on. Be still and know that I am God, not power, God. In that knowing, which cannot be forced and cannot be faked, the tenacity of universal belief discovers it has no law to lean upon in you. That is the end of its road. Keep faith with the rule short periods, many times, and in the heavy weather. Lengthen the silence without words. Timing belongs to God, not to fear. Our part is non-reaction. God's part is God. And that is sufficient. This is the plain rule for those who would live under one presence with both feet on the ground. Short periods, many times no sides. 3 minutes before the call, 3 minutes after the headline, 3 minutes standing at a doorway with your hand on the knob, 3 minutes in the car before you turn the key, 3 minutes on the stairs before you open the meeting room, 3 minutes when a message lands like a fist in the chest, 3 minutes when nothing in particular is happening and the kettle is only beginning to murmur. Consecrate the in-betweens. These are your altars. You are not building shrines. You are removing them. Each brief consent to silence is a small renunciation of two powers, and strung together through the day they make a life that cannot be stampeded. Pray without ceasing does not mean a mouth that never closes. It means a heart that pauses often enough to refuse fear, love, or hate of any appearance. All right, let us make this simple. 3 minutes, many times, single eye, then the next right thing simply. Guard the altar. Do not let argument come into it. Do not let strategy kneel there. Never enter the case humanly. Never advise yourself with old speeches. Never try to be safe. Safety is a human project that assumes two powers. Abandon it. Abide first silence that has no goal, and then, like one who has put down a burden too heavy to describe, go thread the needle of your day without theater. Open the email, answer it plainly, and do not clean the edges with fear. Step into the interview and listen before you flash your rehearsed brilliance. If a child cries, do not slap verses on the air. Pick the child up as one who is not afraid and discover what wisdom offers in the hush. If the store is crowded, walk in without a weather report from your nerves. If the neighbor calls you by a small name, do not return fire and do not swallow poison. Go to your 3 minutes and let your tongue be governed from there. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Seeing is not fixing. It is beholding until the next step is obvious and ordinary. Here is a stern mercy I must put into your hands. Don't let loyalties compete with one presence. If you are not willing to leave mother, brother, sister, father for my sake, you will find yourself dragged down the aisles of their fear, their pride, their well-meaning idols. Do not take this horizontally. I am not enlisting you in a campaign of abandonment. I am telling you that even the tenderest ties turn tyrant when you enthrone them as powers. Who is my mother and who are my brethren? Whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven. When family asks you to choose sides, refuse the bait and bless them with your non-reaction. If harmony can only be achieved through a season of distance, let's have it without bitterness, without banners. Sometimes you will be asked to sit at the same table and be silent when the old play begins its first act. Sometimes you will be sent to a quiet room where you do not answer every call. In either case, Let principle be your kinship, and let the love that emerges from one be more steadfast than the affection that needs you frightened to prove you care. Carry this posture into the community, or do not carry anything at all. Principle over personality. We bless by non-reaction, not by trophies. When appearances shift in your favor, do not run victory laps. When they don't, do not wear sackcloth of failure. In the council meeting, refuse both flattery and insult as masters. Keep the middle, ask the one question given you, and leave the glow to the stage lights. In the campaign, let your work be work, not worship. If the one who engaged you wants to lose, that is his business. In the prayer circle, do not advertise answered prayers as if God endorsed your platform. Tell no man, and let the fruit speak. Rejoice not that the spirits are subject unto you, but rather rejoice, because your names are written in heaven. Heaven here is not geography. It is identity written where two powers do not exist. Do you see? We are not making a brand of peace. We are withdrawing our consent from drama so thoroughly that when good appears, it has no confetti, and when loss appears, it has no funeral. Now, make it practical. You will forget, all right. Remember, the just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again. You will sit for 3 minutes and feel like a warehouse of old noise. All right? Don't sweep, don't decorate, don't explain, just don't react. You will find yourself halfway through an argument before you notice you started it. Stop mid-sentence, if you must, and be still. You will check your results like a farmer digging up seeds to see if they are sprouting. Refuse it. The kingdom of God cometh not with observation, short periods, many times. No consultation with the thermometer. Let maturity bring to light. When the click is absent, do not panic. When the click is present, do not cling. Your fidelity is to the cadence, not to the sensation. 3 minutes, many times. Neither fear, love, nor hate any appearance. Then do the next thing, wash the dish, sign the form, apologize, rest. And now a blessing that isn't ceremony but address. Let Psalm 91 be your street number, not your plaque. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Make the secret place your actual dwelling by frequent small departures from noise. Say within yourself, without sound, right now I recognize no law behind this suggestion. Then silence. In thy silence I shall come to you. You will not hear those words with your ears, but the governance will be there, angels charged over you, not as guards marching in boots, but as lawfulness in which your foot does not dash against reaction. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, not because the night or the arrow have been outlawed, but because you have ceased to grant them a second power. Abide, beloved, and act without drama. Keep the triad plain on the heart's wall. Short periods, many times, no sides. In that consecration, fear has no foothold anywhere, because you have offered it no place to stand. Go now in quiet. Let patience have her perfect work. And when you forget by noon, remember by 2. When you forget by dusk, remember at dawn. It is enough